You are all entrepreneurs. Whether you know it, yell it out. Whether you know it or not, you are more entrepreneurial than you think. You see, entrepreneurism is a lot more than high-tech startups, than my day job as a venture capitalism, as my day job as a venture capitalist. Entrepreneurism is also about the entrepreneurism of life. Bill Solomon defines entrepreneurism as the relentless pursuit of opportunity without regard to resources at hand. Relentless pursuit of opportunity without regard to resources at hand. And every single day, all of you out there are making those choices, trading off time, money, people. Very few of us go and wake up each morning and say, hey, I have too much time, I've got too much money, I've got too many people loving me. If that's the case, you should give the talk right here and we'll buy whatever you're selling. But in that context of the entrepreneurism of life, I'm going to talk today about 4 traits and 1 truth, what's at the root of entrepreneurship and inspiration behind it. So first, what inspires you? How do we become inspired? We are inspired in 5 different ways. First, in our context, our environment. Did we grow up with financial hardship? What geography? What were our family circumstances? Our culture, music, literature, museums, poetry inspires us. We're inspired by our concepts, ideas in action, like TEDx, ideas worth spreading. Very few ideas are novel. Ideas inspire new ideas. And we're inspired by community. People inspire people. People inspire people. And ultimately, those 4 things allow us to reach this state of inspired self. Inspired self. To reach that state of inspired self, we need to try to reveal the truth within. That is the one truth I'm here to talk about today. Now, more so than any other quality that we've researched over now 25,000 entrepreneurs, it is self-awareness that helps us better understand our successes and our failures. And there's many different ways to become self-aware. You can ask peers for feedback. You can journal, writing down what you say you'll do and seeing if you'll do it. But you can also use the power and language of a framework. And today I'll talk about the language of these 4 traits tying back to self-awareness of heart, smarts, guts, and that elusive quality of luck. And how all 4 of those traits can help better explain your self-awareness. Which of these 4 traits most dominates you? So before I go into defining each of those traits, let me just spend a minute explaining how we arrived at this philosophy. Over 3 years, in collaboration with Harvard Business School Publishing, we reviewed and interviewed hundreds of conversations with entrepreneurs, artists, all across the world. And we asked them to take what we affectionately call EAT, an entrepreneurial aptitude test, a sort of psychometric test of entrepreneurship. Now, in this test, you'll see that there's trade-off questions. There's no one right or wrong answer. Are you driven more by your success? Are you driven more in your success by your brilliance or your boldness, your passion or people skills, analytical or pragmatism? In each case, there's no one right or wrong answer. We just look for the consistency and the pattern of your answers to determine how much of your self-awareness, how much of your decision-making is driven by heart, smarts, guts, or luck. You can all try to take that at www.hsgl.com. It takes about 7 minutes. Now, everyone wants to know the answer. What % of heart should I be? What % of smarts? You know, should I be 20% heart, 50% guts? Because whatever it is, I'm sure that's me. I'm so positive. Now, what we found, not surprisingly, is that there's no one singular recipe for success. No one singular recipe for inspiration or entrepreneurship. Instead, everyone needs a baseline of all 4. I'm quite confident all of you have at least a baseline. But what's really, really interesting, and tying back to self-awareness, is understanding which 1 or 2 of these traits biases you day in, day out. We all tend to be biased by 1 or 2 traits. You may be one to purple unicorn iconoclasts that are balanced across all 4, because I get this. As soon as I present these, I was tweeting it out, that's great, he's giving this talk. I am great at all 4. it's on a relative basis. Which one or two of these would your peers, would your family members say you excel at more? So the question becomes, which one are you? As I define these, try to think, whether you've taken the test or not, which of these qualities resonate most with you and drive your decision-making and your self-awareness. Let's start with a film.
そこまで頂上まで行けば完璧かもわかんないけど、じゃあこの頂上はどこかっていうとわかんないわけですよ。好きにならなきゃダメですよ。もう自分の仕事に惚れなきゃダメなんですよ。
Okay, hands up. Who's seen this? Jiro. Jiro dreams of sushi. Okay, if nothing else out of this TED Talk, you all have a great Netflix list today. Jiro is one of the most inspired films for entrepreneurship out there that I've seen in the last 10 years. Jiro is a person, an octogenarian, who is running a 3-star Michelin sushi restaurant inside a subway station in Ginza. And Jiro personifies the very definition of heart. Heart reveals itself in 3 ways. First, purpose and passion. Purpose is the why of what we do. Too often we focus on trying to describe the what and the how. So rarely do we describe the why. In the case of Jiro, he has an unwavering, singular commitment for perfection in sushi. Second, the Greeks had 3 types of love: the love of eros, the love of philia. But the third type of love, agape, sacrificial love, that type of love, like a maternal love a mother has for her child. In the case of Jiro, passing on to sons over 50 years the art, the craft of perfection in sushi. For him, it's a cause worth doing. What is that thing that you do that is worth caring for? That is worth caring for. And ultimately, nuance. The difference between really good entrepreneurs and great entrepreneurs, really good musicians and exceptional ones, comes to nuance. In the case of Jiro, for those of you that have seen the film, the hand toasting of seaweed over open coals, the massaging of an octopus for 30 minutes before serving it, the delivery of sushi at perfect body temperature. These nuances conspire together to give what you cannot see, but what you can feel. And ultimately, those things help explain why we have learned that in 70% of businesses that have had a successful initial public offering or sale of a company, in 70% of those cases, they did not start with a formal business plan. 2/3 of founders are heart dominant. Where their plan started from, instigated from a place we call heart. Are you heart dominant? Now, what about smarts? Clearly, many of you have this collection, this alphabet of degrees out there that you say must be worth something. I certainly paid a lot of money for it. But smarts is something so much more than book smarts and IQ. Instead, smarts is about those that can look in the everyday snail and see the Fibonacci. Those who can look at a seemingly disarray of dots and find a constellation of meaning. Real smarts in entrepreneurship are those that get pattern recognition. And perhaps the best people of pattern recognition were the wayfinders, as described by Wade Davis, the great anthropologist, who described ancient Polynesians who did not have any modern instrumentation, but yet can find any one of the 100 islands they were trying to navigate towards by feeling the reverberations of the waves underneath the hull of their canoe, by looking at the positioning of clouds, by testing the temperature of the water and feeling the shifts of winds. They could get exactly where they want to go. Are you pattern recognition driven? Do you have contextualized intelligence? Are you truly a smart, dominant entrepreneur? And what about guts? Those of you who are guts dominant, which represent about 15% of our survey base, are those who actually have more dones than to-dos on your list. You are actually execution-oriented. I've always believed that a harder person to find than a great CEO or visionary is a great COO. It comes down to execution. And guts manifest itself in 2 ways, in the sprint and the marathon. In the sprint, another film, your arm gets stuck in a mountain. What are you going to do in that moment of truth? Over time, guts manifests itself as perseverance, endurance, the marathon. Do you have that thickness of skin, that resilience, the fortitude to get over speed bumps that inevitably come in not just entrepreneurial journeys, but life's journeys. And the highest level of those that are guts dominant are those who can actually evolve from great success. It's perhaps the hardest thing to do. With success, can you reframe and evolve to another level? Are you guts dominant? Last but not least, I want to talk about that elusive quality of luck. 50-50 chance, right? Heads or tails. That's what luck is, isn't it? Just probability, statistics. Actually, luck in the definition we hold it is something much more. We, as a society, mislabel and misperceive those we call lucky. We think it's a byproduct of chance, but those that we often call lucky are a byproduct of a disposition, of an attitude, what we call a lucky attitude. And a lucky attitude is really driven by three things: humility, intellectual curiosity, and optimism. You need to have the humility to believe that there are forces greater than you out there that are helping you realize what it is you want to do. The intellectual curiosity to experience new things, to try new methods. And ultimately, optimism, the energy that allows you to realize that. A great test, a great rule by my mentor, Jay Chiat, who founded TBWA Chiat Day and died 70 years too young. He often said to me, here's how you can understand if you're really an optimist. The next time you hear a great idea, can you wait one entire day to think about every single reason why that idea might work before you allow one single thought why it won't? Can you wait 24 hours? So why care? 4 reasons. Your superpower versus your kryptonite. Understand your strengths and your weaknesses. Second, decision-making biases. Understand what actually biases your decisions every single day. Are you driven more by that heart passion, the analytics of smarts, or just that guts, that need for action or disposition and attitude that things will work, and optimism? Future speed bumps. Depending on your profile, you will have different speed bumps in entrepreneurial journey. A heart-driven person is likely to have more challenges scaling up. And a smart-driven person will likely have more issues trying to start a new company. People ecosystem. Who then do you have to surround yourself with? We tend to surround ourselves with people that we like, but often those are people that are like us, as opposed to a diversity of excellence. People who complement us in our profiles. But all of those things really pale to the one truth I want to talk about. And that one truth is reaching that ultimate state of self-congruence, which is perhaps best manifested by another short film.
Why did you do this? Police took a humorless view of the act.
Why?
There is no why.
This is probably the end of my life, to step on that why. Death is very close.
Et donc je criais, regardez, regardez, et il a salué.
August 7th, 1974, Philippe Petit stepped on one side of the World Trade Center after friends the evening before had shot a cable across with an archery bow to the other side to tie a 3-inch cable so that he could actually push the limits of what he believed he could do. The one truth about self-awareness is it does not matter how crazy it is that you believe your thing might be or what others believe. Self-awareness allows you to have that optimism where you actually have that sense that you believe, by believing what you can more than you believe. By believing what you can more than you believe, as my partner Mats Lederhausen has said. And ultimately, with that great self-awareness, the one truth that I want to leave you with is that self-awareness ultimately leads to the highest state, just like Philippe Petit, of self-congruence. And self-congruence is defined like this. It's actually that state where you do what you say, and what you say is what you think, and what you think is what you feel, and how you feel is who you are. Thank you.